Alright, so Manifest Lexicon has been done and out and promoted with a post on several social media for about an hour now, maybe. How do you feel, Dandin? Well, let me tell you, I feel pretty good. Um, I think it was easy to accomplish the capstone of a big goal. Um, because I have more goals in store that I made up in the past week or so for a new project. But I think that was something I noticed earlier, like when I was only at 60 or 61 albums. It's like, okay, I've got 40 more to do. And then the first ones came pretty damn easily because it was just like, all right, we're starting. Like once we got started, there wasn't like, oh, we got to make this perfect. A lot of it came out really perfect. A lot of it came out really good, and it was just like in the middle. A lot of the guts were good, and the guts are really important, but also the guts of any project can be forgotten because it's important to start something well in order to like hook people. Oh, like the first few seconds sounds good, I'm going to keep listening. And then the ending is also really important. As it said, like you're only as good as your last four measures. And I really like that. I'm not sure who said that, but I really like that. But also understanding that it can put some pressure on the end. Like, oh, this is the end, and I got to make the last four measures good. But also knowing that you can come across a good ending. So, like, if you're in the middle, or you think you're in the middle of something, and you have a good four measures, and it's like there's something final about it. Maybe you just found the ending before the actual ending. I'll have to keep that in mind. um, but I noticed I was slowing down and like having writer's block at the end before I finished 99 and 100. But there was something like in my mind. I was like, okay, it's not 100, it's 150, and then that made me feel like I was in a different place within the project timeline, and it made me feel like, oh, we better get going because I got to do 150. I'm not doing 150. Maybe I'll end up with that someday for some reason, but the goal really is 100. But I told myself like 110 or 150 or something like that, just to get myself in an earlier mindset. There's something about like being at the end where you want to like slow down, but you got to like overshoot it. There's something like if you're running a sprint and it's like 100 meters, let's say, I don't really know how long that is, 100-meter sprint, we'll say. You don't, I mean, like, the fat kid in me wants to just slow down at like 75 and walk the rest. But really, if you're competing and you really want to finish, you don't slow down until after 100. I don't know where professional runners start slowing down. Um, but it's either like at 100 or after 100. You don't stop, or you don't slow down at 90 or 95 or something. And I think I noticed I did that after 98. It was like I just wanted to like slow down, but then I wasn't doing anything, and I was having writer's block about like, oh, I got to do 99 and 100 differently than I've done the rest of them, and there's kind of like Um, it's like, don't change up your format at the end. Don't change up your way of doing things. But I guess my way of doing things was just kind of eternally changing to begin with. Um, I'm trying to comment on the nature of goals themselves and life cycles and things like that, and hopefully these insights will be um, valuable not just for the specific Manifest Lexicon project, but for projects in general. Um, so anyway, that's that. And I've been working with film. Film has been really fun, and it's a totally different game. Um, and there's certain things that I'm learning that I have, like, not just beginner's luck, but beginner's love. Like and that's really cool about going to a different media. It's just, or medium. There's something, basic tricks, or like finding out my own style that is really satisfying, maybe in a way that Manifest Lexicon lost. Although I don't want to claim that I got bored of it at any time. I really don't think I did. And there's something amazing about being, like, in the studio with headphones and writing, and like having a little bit of a sense of urgency to complete, but also just like having a moment of being in it. That's awesome about recording. I don't really know anything about performing live. The energy is entirely different when I'm by myself than when there's anyone else around. Like, put anyone else in the room right now, and I would just shut up. Um, and it's like, I'd like to learn to be myself when others are around too. But I kind of also have this feeling of, I got to start with new people, because I've already set the standards with the people already, that I'm just kind of mute in their presence. Um, like, I'm not yet. I'm 31, and I've finished this milestone, but I don't think I've shown up in my life yet. Um, I'm still not very present, and most of the communication I do is non-real time. Like, I leave something for somebody to hear or read or see, but actually engaging in the present seems like something I've yet to figure out. One thing, I have tons and tons of recordings of myself talking about Manifest Lexicon, and I don't really remember what I've been talking about, but that could be another documentary in itself, or film. I really like these film ideas. That being said, one other thing that comes with that is I really got to clean up my file system. It would be awesome to get another external hard drive, like this Lacy one that I have now, because um, it hasn't broken on me like the other one did, the other Western Digital. Western Digital, I've had at least, I think I've had 3 Western Digital drives fail on me now. And I think I gotta be done with Western Digital. Even if somebody gives me one for free, I might be like, I don't know if I want to put my stuff on there. But this Lacey is good. Yeah, it's been cool to put film together, but yeah, I'm running out of space for sure. Film is takes by far the most space to do, but also at the same time, there's certain things that get doubled up, file size wise, where it's like if I have a big 11 gigabyte video file, I'll have that on my drive, and then at least they're not on my hard drive anymore. But I'll have that and then also add it to the project folder, and I'm pretty sure that it reduplicates and includes itself in there, so then it's like 11 gig video file plus 11 gig video file. And some of these are like, I'm only using a little bit of them, so it's taking 22 gigs to do, I don't know, it could be 22 gigs for a minute video. And that kind of stuff is the biggest impediments that I can see at this time have to do with video file sizes. That being said, with the content I already have, I think I was writing this up. There's a number of films or video projects that I would like to work on, such as, so I have, okay, Dreariness feature length, which is, I put all the raw, not even all the raw video, but a lot of the raw video together, and it's 8 hours, and I want to cut that down, but there's certain very like long pieces that are just kind of cool, and it makes the cats the stars of the film, and it makes the construction workers outside the stars of the film. They get a lot of screen time. It's very Simon Land with just like real footage that goes on and on and on. It reminds me of Simon Lang's film The Hole at one point, because there's a hole and construction workers. It's very much Simon Lang pastiche, or greatly influenced by Simon Lang. Then I have The Booth about Econo Park, and there's a lot of footage from there. I think it could be cut up in an interesting way. Then something called Psychonaut, where I talk about drugs, DMT, psilocybin, could be weed stuff, I don't know. And then I was thinking of another one. I guess Manifest Lexicon stuff in general. Could make a film out of that. And I wonder how Max's project of Manifest Lexicon documentary is going. If he ever came to anything with that. We had a cool interview, but the footage was not very good. And that's my fault. I should have set up a better system. Maybe there was something else that worked out. Anyway, we'll just call that one the Manifest Lexicon Diaries. So I can see, even though I made plans to write every day, the film thing is really, really cool. And it's kind of an escape for me, like a built-in escape. There's like one Gemini twin that is scheduled to write every day. The other Gemini twin doesn't have a development or release schedule, but is still getting a lot done. And there's that like interplay between that which is planned and that which just flows. And I think flow increases when a good schedule with just a little bit of use stress is going on. I think both of those things help each other out. Creators create, as Viggo Mortensen has said. So yeah, possibly 4 long videos or 4 long films. I like thinking of them as films because there's higher artistic quality that goes in, and it's not just meant to be something that gets thrown on YouTube, even though that's ultimately in this garage sale setting that I'm in That might ultimately be what it is. But in the experience of it, the filmic way of looking at it is what I prefer, the attitude that I prefer. But also with or it's like it saying film suggests higher artistic standard, but also the webcam I have is very filmy because it focuses in the way that film does. So like videotape doesn't have focus. It's just like what's there is there. Whereas film is actually um, focusing on one thing and blurring out the background or the foreground, or ultimately blurring out the background wherever it's at. It's my very remedial understanding. Um, but also, there's having an iPhone. This takes awesome video, and I've been like, they go back and forth, and it's a weird, um, but very interesting perspective switch, and it's kind of like different modes, but it's there's some stark contrast now, and I'd like to work on the transitions, but I'm excited to work on that. And then, so today is December 29th, and we've got December 30th and December 31st, and then on January 1st, I'm scheduled to write 3,333 words with a prompt for what looks to be Eochnia El Duelmi, because I'd rather work on that story than the main Yartol arc that I outlined like 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago. I think 6 years ago minimum, and it's got some Hrielcent influence. It's kind of like an Enneagram 4 thing. There's just something beautiful about how I found her influence. There's like an elegance in a not always French, but maybe something French to it. Maybe it's just the Enneagram 4 thing. Just a kind of beauty to her influence on my projects that I think I understand it in terms of 7,000 Coils, but also some of the things I've written and just the titles. They're kind of like flowery, but not too pretentious. And some of those titles exist in like some of the later novel sketches. Really, the only thing that's there is the title and the setting, and it still seems valuable. There's like something definitive about that, but I also don't like to revise so much to the point of destroying the original work. I'm always building and keeping as much as possible. So yeah, that's that. Um, yeah, in conclusion, I do feel like having more goals for the future, bigger goals or different goals, made finishing this last one easier, probably more possible, and it's the just another boring sunrise attitude of even coming to the end of a big project. No pressure, because it's just another notch. Um, there's something else I wanted to say. Can't remember. I have a lot of songs in my head today from a lot of genres already. Like something's been set free about music. Music is not immediately associated with, oh, there's this industrious goal that I gotta finish. I'm getting like Drake in my head, Wong Fei, and Carl Jenkins, and all sorts of stuff. And I feel excited about having music in my head, and excited about the thought of being able to listen to that music. I even had the thought, like, oh, I want to get Spotify again, because I haven't had that in a while. Um, I'm excited that I can put down my musical ego. Um, I think I'm valuing humility more than I did a short time ago, suggested in astrological readings, but that's resonating with me now. It makes me feel good from the beginning. Um, and it's like it shifts the focus from the talent I have and the achievements that I have to what else can be done, and like the other talents that can be developed, and just the beauty of art in media in general. It feels like day one. High school is finally over. Day one. Um, yeah, so the goals I have left in my life, and I do want to get to the end of them so I can make new ones, because the old ones feel old and undone, and I don't see them going away, even if I go, I don't really care about that, because I do care about the things that I've started and not finished. So the Yartle novels, I don't have a single Yartle novel, even though I started wanting to create them when I was really young, like probably 12, and I got to outlining them finally. It's like I brainstormed them and started world building from like 12 to 17, and in my early 20s it was important to me, and I spent all my time in linguistics just making my own languages and stuff, my own scripts, and I got to the point where it's like, these are awesome and nobody else has made this many scripts or this many cool scripts like this, and I felt like what I was doing was really important. And I still do. It's still really cool stuff, and it's so deep to get into. But I don't have a single thing to distribute. Like, this is what it is. Ultimately, this is what it is. It's the world, but this is what it is. I kind of have that in some of the Yartle musics, but the long fantasy novel, 100,000 word about fantasy novel, is where I see the standard at this point, and I just want to write them, and they might suck. They might be awesome. Hopefully, some of the complexity is expansive and creates high fantasy aesthetic, and I hope the thing is beautiful. Um, and at least at this point, just a few days before 2021, 2021 for me is designated as the year where these things get written no matter what, and just be done with that. So that's an existing goal that I've had for a very long time. And I had like world builder's disease, as Brandon Sanderson talks about, where you get into wanting to write fantasy and you build a world like crazy. I'm thankful that I've had other media to actually complete things in. It's like, yeah, I don't have a book in the Yartle yet. I have Yartolian publications in books, but it's not a novel. It's not a fantasy novel, and because I just like build a world up, build a world up, build a world up to where nothing's deliverable, but there are albums that are deliverable. and some of those are awesome. Some of my favorite pieces of the math is Lexicon are from the Artol. Yeah, world builders disease. I acknowledge that. It makes a lot of sense to me. Definitely a real phenomenon, where you build the world up so much, but you never write the book. And now I have the smart goal tools to do it, and some of these things that goal setting stuff, basic math, these many days, these many words, just do it. I'm glad I have that stuff. It makes it very, very simple. And yeah, other things that are not done yet that I've started. My linguistics degree. I believe that's just still 2 or 3 classes. And that's been another thing that's been pushed on. Like, okay, maybe I'm doing that when I'm 70 because I don't care about those things, at least at this point, as much as personal goals and like personal pieces of media that I want to make. That's been higher. It's greater to me, at least at this point, than worldly achievements like degrees, although I'm very close. And it's cool that they're sitting there done it all. Because I can have like a day one mentality. Like, all right, I just woke up. First day conscious. I'm a 31-year-old American male. And I already got credit previously for life that I hardly remember. And then there's Rodin Low there. Time redemption. Time redemption. Yes, my UWM general linguistics degree and my MATC individuated studies music entrepreneurship degree, and that's mostly done as well, especially since I took like 12 classes at one time or whatever I did that one semester. That wasn't that long ago. But then that's another thing. Other than that, like things that I've had around for a long time, I don't know what else there is. I hope that I think of it I hope that I can think of it. And I also hope these goals aren't just draining what could be a better experience of life. Because the things that just happen to happen, especially in like 2019, the things that just happen to happen are some of the best memories. And they give credence to that saying, life is what happens when you're busy planning something else or whatever. Because I do have a fear that I can sit here and really create a lot of awesome content, but it'll never get anywhere, never be what it could be, and I'll never, either me or the work or both, will never really mean anything because Milwaukee is a garage sale, and I'm trying to do work that is befitting of an art gallery, so to speak. or like, or I'm throwing my pearls before swine or whatever. Um, I do have a fear about that, and there's like, I'm hoping that it will take me somewhere, but also the older I get, the more I acknowledge that I have to be the one to take me somewhere. Um, and then there's also fears about that I still have. That's probably the bigger overcoming to be experienced. Because I think now that I have figured out that I like having my own personal goals at all times, I'd like them to be more than just making shit on my MacBook. Although a lot can happen there. And we'll find a lot of things just in the researching, in the Googling this or that to troubleshoot little pieces. That's where a lot of the fun stuff happens. And also when I talk about 2019, like Comic-Con, that's what I talk about. I didn't plan for that other than putting it on my schedule. It's just something that came up, and it was like kind of related. I guess I can relate that stuff to Yartol, and there's skills there that are important. But it wasn't like straight up the gut. It was just like, it seems kind of cool. But now coming back, that was one of the most important things I did in the past 5 or 10 years. Just going to that for a bunch of reasons. I hope I can see that world again in a way that's satisfying and not this masked existence. Who knows? Maybe the mask stuff will actually lead to something cool, co-opted by awesomeness, co-opted by God. But I should appreciate this moment because there will never be a moment quite like this again. Even though we're filming pieces of this film and like putting it next to things that were filmed like a year ago, and they kind of go together. That itself is fascinating, man. I can say like, oh, I'm just in this boring little old apartment, despite it being awesomely peaceful. There's something non exciting about it on the surface, but like something about living in this apartment and being able to film things in 1 year, like what was it, 2018, 2019, and then coming back at the end of 2020 and filming the same space, even though everything's been moved around. Not everything, but a lot of things have been moved around. And so in the film, putting it together in this like editing magic creates, like you're moving around a room, but there's like years in between the shots. So there's a like time space, this time space interesting phenomenon of like space is the same, but the time is not the same, and you can tell that it's the same room, but on the surface it might seem like nothing's changed, but tons of stuff have changed, and the time is totally different. Like we've gone around the sun in the heliocentric model, we've gone around the sun at least one entire time in between these shots, and that's fascinating. And the cats here are different, and oh, it's weird. The people who live here are different, other than me and Amy, and yeah, like everyone else who lives here is different. I think everybody else who lives in the apartment. Um, so there's something about like this film kind of owns the space more than people do, in some sense. It's showing the quality of this spot in the universe over time, um, in a way that even the people who live here, they don't know that. They don't know the story of even a year ago, because of the turnover in residency. That's me claiming my film owns this apartment, not the legal landlord or the other people who pay rent. No, swipe all that away. This film that I'm making owns this place. Yeah. All right, so I've talked for 36 minutes now. This is Dan Too Much of a Good Thing Dinkelman signing out.